For more than 50 years, fans of The Godfather believed they had seen Vito Corleone's revenge. They saw him return to Sicily, they saw him confront Don Ciccio, and they saw him settle a debt that began when he was just a child. But hidden inside a little-known version of The Godfather Saga are scenes that tell a very different story. Scenes that reveal Don Ciccio wasn't the only man Vito came back for. For decades, most audiences never knew these scenes even existed. They hadn't seen the complete story. Today, we're looking at the forgotten chapter of Vito Corleone's vendetta and the scenes Coppola removed from the theatrical cut. But along the way, we'll also uncover several fascinating details hidden throughout the trilogy, including a connection many viewers never noticed about Don Tomasino, a location hidden throughout the trilogy, and a timeline mystery surrounding Vito Corleone himself. The scenes you're about to see never appeared in the theatrical version of The Godfather Part 2. Most fans have never seen them. They survived only because Francis Ford Coppola later assembled a special television edition known as The Godfather Saga, sometimes called The Godfather Epic. This version restored several deleted sequences that had been removed from the original release. Among them were scenes that expanded one of the most important events in Vito Corleone's life, his return to Sicily and his revenge. But to understand why these scenes matter, we have to go back to the beginning, back to the tragedy that created Vito Corleone. When audiences first meet Vito Corleone in The Godfather, he is the most respected mafia leader in New York. Judges respect him, politicians fear him, entire neighborhoods depend on him. But The Godfather Part 2 reveals that Vito's life began with unimaginable tragedy. In the town of Corleone, Sicily, his family was destroyed in a matter of days. His father, Antonio Andolini, refused to submit to the local mafia boss, Don Ciccio. That decision sealed his fate. Antonio was murdered by Ciccio's men. Soon afterward, Vito's older brother Paolo swore revenge. He didn't survive long enough to carry it out. He was killed as well. Within days, 2 members of the Andolini family were dead. Only one male heir remained, 9-year-old Vito, and that made him a problem. In Old Sicily, blood demanded blood. A murdered father created a debt that could only be paid through vengeance. As long as another male heir survived, the possibility of future revenge remained alive. One of the deleted scenes expands on this moment. Mosca and Strollo, 2 of Ciccio's loyal enforcers, arrive at the Andolini home to take Vito away. His mother immediately intervenes. She refuses to surrender her son and insists on speaking directly with Don Ciccio. This scene never appeared in the theatrical version, but it provides an important glimpse into the desperation of Vito's family.
Chi volete qua?
Siamo venuti per suo figlio Vito.
Perché?
Don Ciccio pensa che è una testa pazza come suo padre. E me l'hai portato lo stesso.
Da sto caso ci penso io.
His mother knew exactly what awaited him, and she was willing to risk everything to stop it. She failed. As Vito ran for his life, Mosca fired the shot that killed his mother. The boy witnessed the final destruction of his family. But he survived. After the murder of his mother, Vito becomes the target of a manhunt. Mosca and Strollo scour the town of Corleone searching for the boy who escaped. Vito is secretly transported to the harbor and placed aboard a ship bound for America. The frightened child leaves Sicily behind, but he never forgets what happened there. Over the following decades, Vito builds a new life. He starts a family, builds a business empire, and eventually becomes one of the most powerful men in New York. Then, nearly 30 years after fleeing Sicily, he returns. Officially, the trip is about business. Unofficially, it is about something else. Something he has been carrying with him since 1901. Because while Mosca and Strollo may have forgotten the frightened boy they once hunted through the streets of Corleone, Vito Andolini never forgot them. In one of the deleted scenes restored in the Godfather Saga, Vito tracks Mosca to his home. The old killer lies asleep beneath a mosquito net. Vito wakes him. Then Vito says something unexpected. He repeats the very same words Mosca used to shout through the streets while searching for the boy who escaped.
L'amico nostro si incazza veramente. L'amico nostro si incazza veramente. Se la voce Famiglia una protezione a Vito Andolini. Capiti, eh?
The phrase instantly takes Mosca back to 1901. Suddenly, he remembers. The family he helped destroy. The mother he murdered. Only then does he realize who is standing before him. The frightened boy from Corleone has returned. Moments later, Vito cuts his throat. After decades of waiting, the first debt has finally been paid. Strollo has also left behind his violent past. He now spends his days fishing along the Sicilian coast. Like Mosca, he believes his crimes belong to another lifetime. Then Vito appears. The confrontation occurs aboard a boat. There is no courtroom, no negotiation, no opportunity for redemption. Vito beats Strollo to death with an oar. With that, another piece of unfinished business is settled. Two men responsible for destroying the Andolini family have finally paid the price. But Vito still has one final name on his list, the man who ordered everything, Don Ciccio. And the events that follow will leave a permanent mark on Tomasino's life. Unlike the previous murders, this scene survived the theatrical cut. Vito visits Don Ciccio under the pretense of discussing olive oil business. The elderly mafia boss barely remembers him. To him, Vito is just another visitor. Then Vito reveals the truth. He is the son of Antonio Andolini, the boy who escaped, the survivor. Vito exacts his revenge. The vendetta is complete. The Andolini family has finally been avenged. As Ciccio's bodyguards open fire, Tomasino is struck in the legs by a shotgun blast. The injury permanently affects his mobility. Its consequences would follow him for the rest of his life. When we see Tomasino again, he is confined to a wheelchair. The wounds he suffered while helping Vito complete his vendetta remain with him throughout the trilogy, both in The Godfather and decades later in The Godfather Part 3. That sacrifice also helped forge a lasting alliance between the Corleone family and Tomasino. After Don Ciccio's death, Tomasino eventually became one of the most powerful mafia leaders in the region and one of the Corleone family's closest allies in Sicily, an alliance that would last for generations. The obvious question is this: why remove such important moments? There are several possible explanations. The theatrical version of The Godfather Part 2 was already extremely long. Coppola may have believed the audience only needed to see the death of Don Ciccio to understand Vito's revenge. Showing Mosca and Strollo's deaths might have felt repetitive, but the deleted scenes reveal something fascinating about Vito's character. Many fans see him as the most honorable godfather in the trilogy, and compared to Michael, he certainly appears more restrained. Yet these scenes remind us that Vito was fully capable of personal vengeance. For all his talk about respect, loyalty, and business, he never forgot what was done to his family, and he never forgave it. Before we finish, there are a few fascinating details about Vito Corleone's early life that many fans never notice, and some of them reveal just how much of this story extends beyond The Godfather Part 2. A fascinating detail involves the Andolini family home. Despite being filmed for all three Godfather movies, most audiences only got to see it in the final chapter of the trilogy. It finally appears in The Godfather Part 3, when an aging Michael Corleone brings Kay to Sicily and shows her the place where his father's story began. As we've already seen in this video, the deleted scene in which Mosca and Strollo arrive to take young Vito takes place at the Andolini home. That sequence was ultimately removed from The Godfather Part 2. And there was another deleted scene filmed years earlier for the original Godfather. During Michael's exile in Sicily, Coppola shot a sequence in which the young Michael visits the Andolini house. However, that scene was also left out of the theatrical release. You can watch that deleted scene in its entirety in another video here on the channel. It's a small detail, but it creates an unexpected connection between Vito's past and Michael's final journey back to Sicily. Perhaps the most intriguing detail involves Vito Corleone himself. In the first Godfather film, a brief shot during Vito Corleone's funeral reveals the inscription on his tombstone. According to the marker, Vito was born on April 29, 1887. Years later, in the second film, we're told from the very beginning that his family was wiped out in the year 1901. If we follow the birth date established in the first film, Vito would have been 14 years old when Don Ciccio decided he had to die. But Coppola seems to have dramatically changed Vito's age, creating one of the most fascinating continuity inconsistencies in the trilogy. In the final scene of The Godfather Part 2, the Corleone family gathers to celebrate Vito's 50th birthday. By coincidence, the celebration takes place on the exact day of the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. That would place Vito's birth around 4 years later than the date shown on his tombstone. So which version is right, the tombstone or the birthday celebration? Francis Ford Coppola appears to have deliberately made Vito younger for the second film. The reason may have been simple. An older Vito might have made Don Ciccio's fears seem more reasonable. A 14-year-old boy could realistically grow up seeking revenge, but a frightened child feels like a victim. By making Vito younger and more vulnerable, Coppola encouraged audiences to sympathize with him and accept his vendetta decades later. But one thing is clear, more than 50 years after its release, The Godfather is still revealing hidden details, lost scenes, and unanswered questions. And perhaps that's one of the reasons fans continue returning to these films generation after generation. If you enjoyed discovering this forgotten chapter of Vito Corleone's vendetta, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like to see more rare scenes and hidden details from the Godfather trilogy, don't forget to subscribe.